In December 1990, Red Dwarf came to Shepperton Studios. On G Stage, in front of a live audience, Series 4 was performed and recorded. So began my involvement with the show, starting with props and set dressing, to eventually building miniatures for Series 8. First up were the Starbug controls. Ed Bythe, the director, wanted these to be centrally mounted onto an arm which could be swung between the seats to whoever was piloting. I put it together on set, and immediately Craig broke it. This 9-foot-tall landing leg was used as a foreground piece to establish where Lister was standing outside Starbug. 2 hours later, it was dumped into a studio skip. Talking of which, that's where we found much of our set dressing. Ridley Scott had directed a science fiction themed commercial in Shepperton just weeks before we detailed this set. Enough said. The same episode, Back to Reality, used this phone, previously built for the movie Hardware, as a background prop in the scene where the team's true identities are revealed, including the famous Dwayne Dibley's first appearance. Blue Midget's interior for Series 8 was dressed with kitchen drainage trays and plastic buckets. Main structures are normally fabricated in wood, painted, then some edges are picked out in silver to simulate the wear and tear of metal. The time wand was rigged to move up and down by employing syringes and rubber tube, which were very effective but eventually not used. The original scutters, to my knowledge, had been engineered from scratch, but on Series 8 there wasn't the time, or more importantly the money available, so the chassis were built using radio-controlled toy cars, and the neck movement was achieved with rechargeable electric screwdrivers. The landing bay was where the opening scene and also Cat's dance sequence took place. Steve Begg, who directed the Starbug crash, produced one concept drawing and we built to that. The set was constructed in wood and clad and detailed in plastic. The actors had been shot on location next to large power units, so we had to match them in miniature. Pictured here is the grabber, as we called it. It was put together by Steve Howarth. Originally it was to be unmanned, but we later decided a figure would help to establish the scale and size of the bay. A rotating light and fibre optics were also added. There were 3 Starbug heads vacuum formed by Chris Trice. One was Hero, one was backup for this, and the other was cut up as wreckage. When it crashed through the containers in bay, it was handomatically launched. In other words, Steve Begg threw it. We use rubber dust in the explosions, as it gives nice fireballs. Also, after each take, you just hoover up the burnt powder residue and go again. The last model I built on Red Dwarf was the escape pod. Designer Mel Bibby said no money was left in the budget, so I agreed on a good bottle of red wine instead. The craft had to appear complete and then be seen partially devoured by a metal-eating virus. I designed it as a 3-sided shape and worked one face with wreckage, superglue and silver paint. Then on film, we dissolved between our hero and damaged parts to achieve the effect. After Dwarf finished, I realised I'd never worked on any of the main craft. That is, until I was contacted by a TV quiz show and asked to make one of their major prizes. So I did finally get to build a Starbug.